I'm Michelle Dennis. And so I had another question, but her question was so good, I wanted to piggyback off of that. So I'm a nurse by profession now. I started being a nursing, but one of the things when I was working bedside was as an ER nurse, we implemented putting social workers and case managers in the ER to reduce recidivism, just people just coming in because, oh, I have a toothache or this is hurting and so what we realized is that people didn't have primary care doctors, and so it really helped and we were able to redirect people. Just listening to this question and thinking about a holistic manner of viewing, because even as I was pulling up here, there was a young lady that was pulled over just a block over, and like you could see the tears in her face, like I don't know if it was a traffic violation or what, but she was obviously scared. So things of that nature, just looking at that, you know, what ways would you even implement maybe, because I've read about it, but I know that we don't use it here, but even having, you know, social workers, case managers, you know, not that one could be assigned to every police car, but even maybe having one in the district so that if something happens, what would you think about something like that, to give a more holistic approach? Because sometimes things are happening and, you know, there may be an alternative solution that we need wraparound services for as opposed to incarceration or further things that are gonna, you know, just make you get out and do something else.
And that's one of the things that I actually want to do is create a 19 Judicial District Court wraparound services program where I do have community partners involved, social workers involved, and that way, and then, you know, working with the DA's office and public defender's office, that way we can have somebody assigned to a defendant or a case. Most of the times in my experience, it's almost like an a la carte situation. We have a list of doctors, but the problem is we only use that list when we're trying to prescribe a sanity commission for people who are incompetent. But I've always been a proponent that you need to have a list of counselors and social workers to be able to provide services to help those people who, you know, they need the extra services. And sometimes you may have that in bond supervision programs, but that's very far afield.
Yeah, I always joke, you know, that, you know, as a nurse, I stay on my side of the law. I know what I can do with medications, I know what I can do, but when it comes to even hearing you talk about bankruptcy, I know that there's a lot of stuff, there's so much ambiguity there that we don't know. And it's the same, I approach law and politics the same way I approach healthcare, because we see people and we see them, we see the commercials, you know, we see all of that, but the translation and the hand down into the community turned into a school backpack drive. Well, let's not, you know, let's turn that into conversations like the ones that we're having now.
Yeah,
and it reduces that fear.
All connected, you know, like I can tell y'all that when I was working criminal court and transitioned from being a bankruptcy attorney.
I mean, that was two different worlds right there.
But no, it's not. Most people who have a bankruptcy or a financial issue, they got a criminal issue. If they have a family issue, they may have a criminal issue, or a civil issue, they may have a criminal issue too. It's all connected, you know.
Counselor care. But my question's a little bit different, even though it was one.
What is one specific goal you hope to achieve in your first 6 months?
First 6 months? Oh, let me tell y'all.
Take your time.
I'm gonna clear the backlog. And I've done it before. This is a little fun fact. There was a backlog of cases that we had, and we really worked hard to really get that reduced down, because especially when you have your bench warrant files and things like that. Sometimes the files are not working because everybody is overworked. And so my goal in the first 6 months is to just really take an inventory of all my cases and have meetings with the DAs, the attorneys, the public defender's office, and get these matters, especially if they're old matters that have been lingering around since like 2014, get these matters kind of like resolved and done with. Yeah.
And there's office here, but I look at everything. I look at what's going on. I'm always checking to see, especially what the city officials are doing, and not just around election time, okay? I'm talking about, I want to see what you're doing when it's February, you know what I mean? I want to see what you're doing when, you know, I want to see And that's how things like the VR Street Team kind of caught my. They was actually physically walking the streets and going in those neighborhoods and talking to those families. And I said, okay, that's what I'm talking about. So just saying that, I mean, to see that energy in you is something pretty cool just because I just don't see it a lot. And you can see that there's a genuineness about you as well as far as like talking with everybody. It ain't like it's, well, I'm gonna talk to this and okay, and you talk to everybody. What has you so open like that and just so willing to help?
I think I've always been that way. And that's just my upbringing.
Right. Okay.
Not the country.
Right.
You got some country